Hey everybody, welcome to Movie Films with Bill and Steve. I'm Bill.
I'm Steve.
And we're going to talk about movies, because movies talk, so let's talk movies.
Let's talk movies.
Let's do that. Well, this is our first episode.
This is our first episode. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
So I thought we'd introduce ourselves just a little bit, get you guys a little acquainted with us. You can sit down by the cozy fire, bearskin rug, making it hot in here.
Hot.
So, as I said, as I fumbled over my words, I'm Bill Murphy, a.k.a. Lovable Bill, on the majority of internet forums. I played Emperor Zagel in the super fantastic and popular film Super Task Force 1 that won several Oscars last year, I believe.
Yes, it did. The real talk, it did win on some website. It did get named the best family film of 2013.
Yeah, that's almost the same as winning Best Picture. So
it's
fuck you, 12 Years a Slave. 12 Years a Slave. You suck. You're out of here.
You know what 12 Years a Slave didn't have? Explosions or Bill Murphy.
It didn't. It didn't have Emperor Zagel. It didn't have Sentai. It didn't have... So yeah, I am on several internet forums as Lovable Bill. That's the majority of what people know me by. That's the majority of how I'm known, period, is because I'm a big fan of Mega 64, so I just kind of get some dick riding off of them a lot. Other than that, yeah, I'm just a dude that loves movies. Been watching movies since I was like 4 or 5, and I had supervised access to HBO and Cinemax, and my mom was really cool about letting me just rent wherever the fuck I want. So that's me. Steve, tell everyone about yourself.
Actually, before I introduce myself, quick question.
Shit.
What's the first movie you ever saw?
My earliest movie memory.
Yeah, that you actually remember.
I don't actually remember like what I first saw, but the one here's my earliest memory that's just stuck in my head forever, and it's the only time in my life I've actually truly scared of something. My mom rented Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and I think I was probably 3 or I think I was 4. I was really young, and it's the beginning part of the movie, the only like really decent part of Chainsaw 2. I mean, I love Chainsaw 2, but when they're on the bridge and Leatherface is like going into the car and everything.
Absolutely.
That freaked me the fuck out. I was like losing my fucking mind, crying, and it's going ape shit. Because he pops out and he has the guy from the first film, the corpse on him. He's all like freaky looking with the chainsaw. Right. Man, whoa, no, I was out of it. I was gone. I was done.
That's
and
adorable.
So that was that's my earliest I can remember, and it stuck with me all these years. So yeah.
Fantastic answer. So everyone, I'm Steve Brzezinski. I'm a filmmaker and freelance actor. I've made several independent films that have gotten into stores, on cable, Amazon, VOD networks. Everyone Must Die was probably the most wide-released one up to this point at this recording. Another one I was hired to direct, Captain Z and the Terror of Leviathan, just got picked up. That'll be out in a big way in 2015, allegedly. We'll find out if that happens as well as the distributor claims it does. And I act freelance. I've been in some feature films, both independent and larger ones, also ones that you can pick up at Walmart anywhere. Not that I would suggest it. And I am also a contracted character actor for Marvel, as in Marvel Comics. I play Spider-Man, Thor, badly, Iron Man, Wolverine, anyone that they need. Basically, there's a certain number of us for the whole world. And if you hear about a Marvel character, officially a Marvel character being like at a mall or a children's museum or anything like that, it's one of us, and it could be me.
It could be him. So when you see Steve, be like, "Hey, Steve, I loved you in Slasher Hunter. It was great. Frank was my favorite character.
Best character."
Then if he's trying to open a bottle of beer or brute beer for you kids, open it for him because he's having a tough time with that.
I'm gonna need some fucking help with this.
He will need some fucking help with that. He's also in Scream Park. Scream Park's also a great film that Steve's in, and you should check it out. You can find it at Walmart probably for $7.
Yeah, tops.
I recommend that. Doug Bradley's in that for 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was great to work with him. But yeah, so I make movies. I don't think I'm a big deal, but because I make movies, I tend to overanalyze other films, especially in the script writing. I never punch down, or even at my own level. I will always and only punch up whenever someone has way more resources than I or guys I know do. That's the only time when I ever get really critical with films.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to check out any of my stuff, you can go to www.silverspotlightfilms.com. That is the main hub for all of my films that have been released, with links to buy them, whether through the distributor on Amazon or through the website itself.
Sounds great. What's your earliest film memory?
I can even give the backstory to it.
Oh.
So back when I'm a little Steve Jr., 3 years old. My grandmother was babysitting me one day, and she tells me that if I go upstairs to my bedroom, I will die because the boogeyman will kill me. I don't want to go up to my bedroom anymore, and my mother struggles to find out a way to explain to me why I shouldn't be afraid. So, her idea is to show me A Nightmare on Elm Street, and then show me the making of A Nightmare on Elm Street, to show me what make-believe was. So my first movie ever, and I fully remember seeing the whole film, was the first Nightmare on Elm Street at the age of 3. And it both worked in the sense that I was no longer afraid of things that weren't real, and it also backfired in the sense that it made me a huge fan of horror movies and Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, that is a huge backfiring, because Jason Voorhees is a better slasher, so...
I mean, agree to, have poor taste, that's fine.
Okay, that's fine. You can watch your first Friday 13th, not Friday 13th, fuck. Nightmare on Elm Street film that makes zero fucking sense.
Oh, no, I'm not going to defend that one. All the fans of Nightmare always talk about the original, but it is probably about the halfway point for me.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's like third or fourth, maybe fourth place, but yeah. It makes no sense. It bothers me a lot how little sense it makes.
Yeah, it does, nothing really starts making sense to the third movie.
Even the second movie makes more sense than the first movie. It's ridiculous logic, but it's there.
Yeah. But, I'm almost done. Me and my wife, Rachel, are currently, we're still in the middle of watching the series. I got her all through Friday 13th really quickly, but Nightmare, for some reason, has been a slog. We still have Dream Child and Freddy's Dead and New Nightmare and...
Oh, fucking New Nightmare. I think that's my least favorite one.
I haven't seen it since I think it first came out in video.
It's
so it's
just the first movie. Again. Yeah. And, there are some really good ideas in it. Some legitimately really good ideas, but for the most part, it's just the first movie, except even more boring. Less happens, even though it just copies the first movie.
I really like the makeup. I remember liking the makeup a lot of the new Freddy design in the movie. It
was a cool design, but my problem is that I think Part 4 was the ultimate makeup, and I don't know why they'd ever want to change it.
Well, that's fine. I felt the same way about Friday 13th, the New Blood. I think it was Kane Hodder. That makeup was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Always make Jason look like that. Why change it?
Yeah, then they go to Takes Manhattan, and it's just awful looking.
Terrible.
You had really good zombie makeup and New Blood, and then you just fuck it up. Okay, so let's, for this week's discussion for our first episode, is something I thought we'd do is kind of give everyone who's listening an idea of what kind of stuff we're into, me and Steve. So we're going to go through our top 10 favorite movies of all time, and in parentheses right now.
At least off the top of our heads, what we could figure out.
Absolutely.
So this way, if you disagree with us, you'll disagree with everything that we say.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. But with films like these quality films we're about to talk about, how could anybody disagree with us?
I agree.
So, I usually go with this logic is because your favorite movies change all the time. Something you'll be obsessed with for 1 year will be your favorite movie of all time, then another year later it'll be gone and you'll like something else.
Yeah, and especially for me, it's hard to choose a top 10 all movies. I more so prefer to keep it within the same genre.
That's understandable.
Top 10 horror films, top 10 action films, stuff like that. And also I see a lot of micro-budget stuff or independent stuff, and I feel that it's a little unfair to put that on a top 10 list for other people to understand what I like. So I try to keep it more mainstream films. Mm-hmm. And then there's other films that, that I'm a huge fan of the Phantasm franchise. Mm-hmm. But I think it works so much better as a series that it's hard for me to choose one of the films to put in the top 10, even though I love Phantasm so much. So this was really hard for me.
Well, I'm glad I couldn't make it too easy for you. For me, it's just hey, here's 10 movies I really like, and that I never get tired of watching. So that's really how I do my top 10s usually.
All right, well, let's get it started then. It is movie with Bill and Steve. So, Bill, you should go first.
It's also movie films with Bill and Steve.
I almost said movie talk. That was my fault.
That's okay. We are talking movies because movies do talk. Let's start with our number 10. My number 10 is a film that came out last year, and I absolutely adore it. I've watched it several times. I'll probably watch it again this weekend, just because I love it that much. It is the Michael Bay truly, truly classic, Pain and Gain.
Love Pain and Gain.
Starring Mark Wahlberg, Dwayne Johnson, who else is in the damn movie? Whatever, doesn't matter. Yeah, Pain and Gain. Brilliant fucking movie. I feel like everyone wrote it off in the beginning because, Michael Bay. It's like, I don't think people realize that Michael Bay, when doing rated R Michael Bay, he's fucking great.
Absolutely great.
His movies are, I'd almost say unparalleled in how gorgeous they look all the time. And, I mean, the man knows how to get the best fucking shots. And admittedly, I don't know what to say. I'm a Michael Bay fan.
He's a great director who just so happens to work with some shitty scripts.
That is absolutely it. Everyone wants to blame him for a majority of the Transformers problems, but all those I could say are script problems.
Mm-hmm. Oh, but he's the producer. He approves every tiny fucking little shit. No, that's not how movies work.
Yeah. Turtles is a Michael Bay movie. No, it's not.
If Turtles is a Michael Bay movie, then Transformers is a Spielberg film.
Exactly.
Pain and Gain's a great film, not in my top 10. However, it was in my top 5 of the year last year.
Yeah, last year was my number 1, because I was just like, this fucking movie's so good. I'm even like starting to crack up a bit just talking about it, because going into it, I'd only seen a trailer. I knew very little about it. I was like, Mark Wahlberg, Dwayne Johnson. Hey, I'm down for that. Those are 2 actors I really like. And Michael Bay's making this, and it's based on a true story. Okay, let's go check it out. I was thoroughly surprised. My wife did not even know. She kind of forgot, because in the beginning they tell you it's a true story. About midway through the movie, she'd forgotten. So when she's reminded of it, she was just like losing it. She's like, whoa, wait, what? For those of you who don't know, I'll give you a quick synopsis. Pain and Gain follows is about, when I say it's based on a true story, it's pretty true. Like,
it's pretty accurate, yeah.
90% of the movies actually happens. About 2 bodybuilders in Miami, Florida, who kidnap a local gym owner and extort his property and money and assets from him. And basically that's the gist about it. And then they go on to do more stuff and end up getting arrested and all this stuff. And it basically follows that story of what happened there. Tony Shalhoub plays the not the gym owner, the like the business owner, local guy that they try to steal money from. It's a very dark comedy. Absolutely, it's almost like, I think the people equate it. It's like if the how to describe it? It's like shit. It's like if the Coen brothers made a Three Stooges movie, I think is how people kind of equate it. Because you got these 3 bumbling dudes doing super fucking dark shit. And yeah, it's just, I try my favorite Michael Bay film. I mean, there's some good ones, Bad Boys 2 and Bad Boys and The Island and stuff, but man, it's a gorgeous movie. It's in Miami. It's great shots all over the fucking place. Dwayne Johnson slays it so hard in that movie with his comedic acting. And of course, Mark Wahlberg is just awesome as always. So that's why it's on my list at number 10. I just can't get enough of the movie. So
it's an excellent choice, an excellent film. Completely agreed. My number 10, The Rocketeer.
Ah, yes.
One of my favorite Disney films. Joe Johnston's proves that he knows what he's doing with any film that takes place during that era. Anywhere from the 30s to the 50s, just give it to Joe and he'll kick its ass. Jennifer Connelly at her most gorgeous. It's Bill Campbell? Because it's Bruce's namesake arch nemesis.
You might be right. It's been admittedly it's been a while.
It's been a while. But it's a gorgeous looking film. The themes, the tones, everything is spot on. It's what made me fall in love with aviation. Just everything in that movie is perfect. Timothy Dalton as a Nazi villain. Timothy Dalton can be the villain in every single film ever released, as far as I'm concerned.
I'd be down for that.
It's a really fun, lighthearted adventure romp, and I can never get enough of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't disagree with you on that. It's been a while since I've seen it. I picked up the Blu-ray not that long ago, like when it first came out a couple years back, and I was meaning to rewatch it. I remember a lot of bits in my head, but I feel like it hit all the tones of I guess it's funny. It's funny how that film didn't do very well. The Shadow didn't do very well. The Phantom didn't really well. All these like pulp films that I really particularly really love just never really like were able to hit it off. But I feel like then the Rocketeer. I feel like the Rocketeer had a really bad release date.
What was the release date?
Yeah, if you want to take a quick second here, look it up.
Rocketeer release date was June 21st. Let's see what it was coming out against.
Because that's the one thing I feel like it like did bad because it was released against something. Because as many movies end up performing really badly because, like as much people as don't remember, The Thing came out a week after E.T.
Right.
And that movie bombed. As much as people love it now, at the time it was the worst.
Well, and also Last Action Hero, an excellent film, came out the same month as Jurassic Park, and
yes.
Nope. That's not going to happen.
We'll discuss that here later.
Robin Hood, The Prince of Thieves came out the week before.
Maybe it's just me. Maybe it just was a lackluster release.
I mean, it did. The weekend it came out, it was number one at $46 million. So it did well. It was probably just not as well as they were hoping.
Maybe that's it. I just feel like, maybe to me.
Oh, the week after, because June 21st was The Rocketeer. 2 weeks later was Terminator 2, so no one was seeing The Rocketeer anymore. Yeah,
that'd be a huge drop off. So there we go. There's our answer. James Cameron killed the Rocketeer.
God damn it! But hey, it got Joe the ability to direct the first Captain America movie, which he was a perfect fit for.
Absolutely. Is that all you got for Rocketeer?
I mean, there's not much more I can say. It's been out since 1991. The story's about a guy that finds a rocket and he fights Nazis.
Hey, that's the American
dream. And it's Jennifer
there.
Connelly before she got her breast reduction.
Oh, man, I need to really watch this movie now. Okay, so moving into our number 9 picks, mine is a little cult. Actually, the cult film. Or I guess when I say cult, kind of independent. Like what caused the independent film boom of the 90s was a little film by Kevin Smith called Clerks. This is another film. I feel like our list are going to be full of movies. Like, what can you really say about these films? I love Clerks. I have a blast watching it. It's funny. It's highly quotable. Me and my friend Ryan. And if it wasn't for Clerks, I wouldn't have Clerks the animated series, which I think is probably the best thing Kevin Smith's ever done. I absolutely adore Clerks the animated series. I probably would argue that Clerks is his best film as well. Like at least the one I like the most.
Clerks is a movie that I objectively know is a good film, and really, like you said, started a lot of the independent film thing and started Kevin Smith's career and all that stuff. It's hard for me to go back and watch though.
Really?
I feel it's just a lot of talking, and that's a case where, that's the fucking point, so I can't complain about that, but I just don't like it because of that.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Different strokes. I guess the talking, it's all, unlike a lot of Quentin Tarantino's talking films, Clerks I find interesting and actually funny. Like, I can just relate a lot more to the characters, I guess.
Maybe for me it's a case of, not enough happens in the film, which, again, that's the point. I get that. I want everyone to know that I get that's the point. It's just two guys working, and it's kind of a weird day, but otherwise it's just two guys working at a grocery. At a convenience mart, sorry. Mallrats, to me, is kind of like Clerks done better, even though I know less people like it. Just because it has, a lot of the same dialogue stuff, but there's ongoing plot with a conflict and a resolution and stuff like that.
I get you. That's totally fine. I know I've met plenty of people here that absolutely hate Clerks. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with just it not being for you. I think Dante's an interesting character. Randall's probably a good representation of me in some regards, which I guess a lot of people can say that, but just his general attitude towards people.
Right.
Especially customers, because if I worked retail. I think anybody that works retail can agree that customers are awful. So... that's my number 9, Clerks. Steve, what do you got for your number 9?
Number 9 is a little film called Aliens.
Oh, good choice.
It is one of those examples of a sequel that is objectively on par with the original, and then when it comes down to subjective opinion, it's totally fair, in my opinion, to place it above the original.
It just depends.
It depends on the person.
Yeah, because they're both entirely different movies.
Completely different films, and I dig that.
Yeah.
I really like the character arc with Ripley. Even though it's cut from the theatrical release, I really dig how the reason why she's freaking out so much over Newt is because she's a mid-30s woman whose daughter just died of old age because she's been in stasis for 80 years.
Not according to Alien Isolation.
Oh, no, her daughter ends up fine.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm getting at. It's like, what's the... Well, that's... Whatever. I'm sorry, that's a tangent of why do this. There's no reason for it. But thankfully the home video for releases, the DVDs have the original cut, which is also... I think that original cut, the director's cut, quote-unquote, it was like a Sunday at the movies thing for television.
Yeah.
Am I correctly?
Yeah.
So, sorry, you can continue talking about Aliens.
It's a slow start just like the first Alien, which I'm not a big fan of. But after that, it's just... the pacing is perfect, and it's not action-packed. It's not a fun romp the whole time. It is still a slow-moving thriller with bursts of action. Like, I think that a lot of people remember the movie wrong. They think it's just all action the whole time, and it's not. And I just think the tone of it works really well. I like the stuff that it adds to the xenomorph mythology. I feel that based on Aliens, James Cameron has a better understanding of how xenomorphs would work than Ridley Scott does. And I just like what they did with the movie. It was a good movie.
Mm-hmm. It's also really impressive when you find out, I think they only had 4 or 5 of the xenomorph suits.
Yeah, they only had 5.
So there's all of just creative shooting and stuff. And the film definitely goes to show... a lot of what James Cameron learned from the Roger Corman School of Filmmaking was something he wants to like shit all over now. The idea that you can make a really good film, maximize the little amount of money you have, opposed to now where this films cost hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm always kind of sad that James Cameron kind of lost his ways in regards to filmmaking.
James used to be one of my favorite filmmakers, and these days not so much. I still respect what he did, but Avatar is no Aliens.
No, it is not. Neither is. Titanic is awful. Okay. I will always respect Titanic for the amount of practical effects and the amount of making the film. The making of the film that I love and I respect.
And Billy Zane is in it.
Absolutely, Billy Zane. You won't get any complaints out of me on Billy Zane. And a glorious wig.
So good.
But the film, it's like the film story, everything else. I suppose some of it's also... Well, at the time when I saw it, I was like, this is kind of lame. And I think now people just want to jump on the thing of, well, no, you just hate it because everyone likes it. It's like, no, it's really lame. Everyone wants to tout his big, amazing, best love story ever told, and that's rather garbage.
It's not the best love story ever told. So you're number
Aliens,
8.
I was going to say real quick, Aliens, love it. Bill Paxton makes that entire fucking movie for me.
Bill Paxton, the only person that's fought both the Alien Xenomorph and the Predator. Outside of the AVP films.
Well, and technically he was also the only one. Him and Lance Henriksen are the only 2 actors that have been killed by the Terminator, the Alien, and the Predator.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So, good on those 2. My number 8 is the movie that basically bankrupted Warner Brothers Animation Studio, which was The Iron Giant.
Great film.
This is a film that I just don't watch very often, purely because I can't stand crying my eyes out at the end of it. It doesn't matter. Back when Cartoon Network used to do 24 hours of The Iron Giant, I would sit there, I would watch it all day, and at the end of the movie, every single time, Niagara Falls. There's a Scrooge reference for you.
I could do a top 10 Christmas films. We're going to do that in December.
Oh, fuck yeah. Anyways, but yeah, The Iron Giant. I'm always at a loss for some of these films because it's a boy and his dog, pretty much, but it's a boy and his giant robot. The tones, the themes, it's a very mature film for a quote-unquote animated kids film. It's definitely a family film, not necessarily a kids film. It does it all right. Perfect. It's also a great movie for reaction pictures and screen grabs for the... it's been a while since I watched it, but the beatnik guy that runs the junkyard.
Absolutely.
He has the best reaction pictures, almost on par with 60s Spider-Man. I love the film. I think it's probably my favorite animated film for sure. So, wait, do you have any other thoughts you want to add on that?
Honestly,
Steve?
I just agree.
Yeah, Yeah, okay. I guess we'll move on to Steve's number 7.
Your number
8. My apologies.
Yeah.
I'm
my
jumping the gun, guys.
My number 8 is a little film called RoboCop.
Oh, that high up on your list, huh?
Yeah.
I guess low on your list.
I mean, compared to the hundreds of films that I saw, number 8's pretty respectable. I don't want to talk about it too much because I have a feeling that it's going to be higher on your list, and you're a bigger fan than I am. But
so we'll get to that.
We'll get to that, but it's a really good action movie. It's a great parody of an era, and it and Die Hard are the two ultimate action movies to compare all other action movies to. Even though RoboCop isn't a full-blown, like, wacky action movie, it has enough where I think it's fair to call it an action film.
Yeah, well, we'll leave it at that until maybe later in this list. Yeah. So now number 7, my apologies again. This is a film that has had a huge resurgence the past several years. It was also written by Shane Black, who's gotten a lot more popular now because of the Iron Man 3 and such. And I forget the director's name. I'm blanking all of a sudden. But it is the Monster Squad.
Yes.
I have loved this movie since I was a kid. As a kid, I didn't like the Goonies because I thought the Monster Squad did it better.
I also did not like Goonies for the same reason.
I think the Goonies is a fun movie, don't get me wrong. I enjoy the Goonies. I just hate the fact that everyone wants to say the Monster Squad is a Goonies ripoff, which you can kind of say because it did come out after the Goonies. But the Monster Squad nailed it. It got everything better. The kids talk like actual kids. They are not just little adults like they are in the Goonies. Mm-hmm. Monster Squad has probably the most badass Dracula that's ever been put to film, as far as I'm concerned.
Probably.
I don't remember the actor's name. Apologies, guys, but he's handles himself so fucking well. He's amazing, and I always mix up his name because I think it's Tom Noonan. Yeah, he was. They played Frankenstein. I know it's Noonan. I always forget his first name. He was amazing as Frankenstein. I think it's the best. Frankenstein's monster.
There you go.
My apologies, guys, but they just call him Frank in the movie. So
Tom
I'll say
Noonan,
Frank.
yeah.
Yeah, Tom Noonan. He's in a couple other. He's in another film on my list here later. He's great. My all-time favorite line from that film, and probably films in general, is when he grabs Dracula and says, "Bogus." That does it for me every time. I love it. It's great.
That is a classic monster film, and absolutely belongs right alongside whenever someone's talking about monster films, and like they're generally talking about like the Universal Studios films or even like modern monster movies with Freddy and Jason and stuff.
Yes.
Monster Squad absolutely belongs right beside all of them. It's an excellent film.
It is, and I'm glad it's definitely got more resurgence in recent years. I think it's Decker. I forget his first name. Fred Decker. Fred Decker, I know, has been talking about not wanting to do a sequel, but sadly, like the studios, I think it's Universal maybe, just wants to do a reboot, so I don't know where that's going to go. He wants to do a sequel with the original cast, everything back.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Which I'm hoping that will eventually happen. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's my number 7. So, Steve, you're number 7.
My number 7, and this is where half of the internet compares me to literally Hitler. 7th most favorite movie of all time, Man of Steel.
Hell yeah.
I love the Man of Steel. I genuinely think it is the best superhero movie I've ever seen. It's not perfect. It definitely has script issues. There's some character choices that I don't personally like. But the journey of Clark Kent into not only discovering that he is Kal-El, but then also becoming Superman in the ending of the film, the choices he's forced to make, and the fact that I think Superman is hopeful as hell in the movie. Everyone claims like, oh, Superman's about hope and the movie's not hopeful. Like, no, Superman's doing everything that he can to make us okay, and I think that's really hopeful. I don't know what movie you saw, but I also dig that he kind of loses. Because a bunch of people die, and he's forced to go against his entire moral choices that he would make usually in order to save more people, which is what Superman is all about. He's not a god that can do whatever he wants. He's not all-powerful. He can't save everyone. And that's the problem that most of America that don't read the comics seem to think Superman is. Too many people say Superman's boring because he can just do whatever. And then Man of Steel comes out showing like, hey, look, millions of people died because he couldn't destroy this gravity machine in a heartbeat. And then everyone says, oh, Superman let a bunch of people die. He's a murderer. What the fuck do you want?
Yeah, there you go. Hit the nail on the head. That's all my same points. People who want to say Superman doesn't kill. Did you see Superman 2?
He was smiling about it.
He definitely killed some people.
And in the comics, he killed Zod. He killed Doomsday. Or at least he thought he killed Doomsday, and I think that's the same as killing something.
It's the same as people who forget, who want to say Batman Returns is their favorite Batman movie. It's like, Beep smiles while he throws a man down a shaft with a bomb strapped to him. I don't know.
No, Returns is the fucking worst of those four.
Yeah, so, I agree with everything you said about Man of Steel. I love the film as well.
All right.
So, yeah.
You're number 6.
Number 6. 6 is, again, my list is full of films that did not do, well, either, some did well, but most of them didn't do very well. It is a Stallone, Wesley Snipes classic, Demolition Man.
Oh, I love Demolition Man.
I do too. That's why it's on here. I think the film is fucking hysterical. It has great action. Has great scenery of San Diego all over the place, and Wesley Snipes in that film is hilarious. It's great. It's a great mix. It's one of those great like 90s action movies that has tons of great comedy but really good action set pieces in it as well.
It's another one of those classic action films that's on my short list of must-see action movies.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone needs to see it because I love it's on Blu-ray. It looks great on Blu-ray. It's I don't know what else to go with it.
Wesley Snipes is at his peak as far as I'm concerned in that film. I'm sure he absolutely has better dramatic roles or whatever, but whatever. I don't care.
Yeah. New Jack City, go fuck yourself. I want Simon Phoenix 24/7.
Simon Phoenix 24/7.
He's just
The Seashells, Taco Bell, Rob Schneider in the only film I don't hate him in.
I can agree with that. Or if you're in Europe, it's Pizza Hut. Don't forget.
Oh, I did forget that. Totally forgot that.
Yeah, that's a great piece of trivia. But I guess that's it. It's another great film. I'm always trying to remember what like negatives I always hear about it. But it's funny, like all these films that are generally negative receptions about them, or conceptions. I don't know, whatever fucking word. Anyways, people always seem to say, "No, I like that movie." So I don't really never kind of get where a lot of these negative ideas and attitudes towards films come from.
Yeah,
but
it's weird.
I love Demolition Man, hilarious film. If you haven't seen it or you've heard it's bad, fuck whoever said that. Watch the movie; it's great.
Make your own opinion.
And Sandra Bullock is pretty hot in it.
She's super hot in it.
Absolutely. Steve, your number 6.
My number 6 is a classic in the genre, as far as I'm concerned, and the absolute best in its franchise. Friday the 13th, Part 3 in 3D.
Yeah.
I love Friday the 13th 3. It is the perfect Friday the 13th film, in my opinion. It hits everything that a Friday the 13th movie should. The kills are great. The pacing's great. The kids are interesting. It has my favorite lead, like, survivor girl. She kicks Jason's ass, and it's wonderful.
Right, she does.
Like, oh man, you kind of feel bad for Jason by the end of this, and he doesn't even die in this movie.
Nope. She definitely is very good at defending herself. She's smart and everything, yeah.
Yeah, she does everything right, and I like that. And it's my favorite human Jason look.
Yeah, it's a great look. That's obviously when he first got the mask and really became the iconic character everyone knows today.
And the guy who played Jason did it really well in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everyone always talks about Kane Hodder. And yes, Kane did it for 4 films. He's a legend. I agree. But the guy that did it in 3 just took it so seriously, and he was the only one to do that before Kane.
Mm-hmm.
And you can really see it. He did a much better human Jason than whoever did him in 4, you know? In my opinion.
The film's one of the few slasher films that I can think of off the top of my head that are mainstream, I should say, that had some implied rape.
Absolutely, yeah. They pretty much outright say Jason raped this chick a few years back and then let her live for reasons.
Yeah. Which I think helps establish the idea that maybe that Jason was alive when Pamela Voorhees was alive as well.
I think that's a given. Like, I know it's all a blur because they weren't planning a sequel when they did the first movie, but I think it's fair that the canon is pretty much that Pamela was just fucking crazy. And while feeding her son herself, still was acting like her son was dead, while also teaching him that he has to hurt all of these people because they hurt him.
Yeah.
And then she dies and he goes nuts and takes up his mommy's mission. Because he's human in movies 2, 3, and 4. He didn't come back to life. He's been alive this whole time. There's
Yeah,
no arguing that.
He was taking injuries. So it was definitely, you could kind of argue that was something he could survive. And
Yeah,
such.
nothing that happened
yeah.
to him in the first, in 2 and 3 could kill him. You know, the axe was a stretch, but thankfully he put on a really hard mask, and the axe was mostly in the mask.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, I agree. Three is my favorite of the series, which is funny because I've seen some people's lists and they put 3 really far down, but then they put like Jason Takes Manhattan up high. I'm like, you can go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I mean, like I like watching that movie, but not for the right reasons.
Yeah, yeah. Jason puts an axe into a girl's head. Haha, axe guitar stuff. So yeah, I agree. That's the best film of that franchise as well. So yeah,
number 5.
Number 5. Again, I think this is the last film on my list that is considered a bomb. That is Last Action Hero.
I was just talking about Last Action Hero.
Yes, another film that also has Tom Noonan in it as well. This film, let me just put it this way: for years, the only DVD you could get was a cropped pan and scan version. The day I went to Walmart and saw that there was a Blu-ray of Last Action Hero, I cried. And I bought that. I bought it, took it home. I don't even know what I was going to do that evening. I just tossed it out the window. I put that disc in and I watched it. Because for years, I've always hated the fact that there was just a pan and scan Blu-ray out there, a cropped full screen version. There wasn't a proper widescreen release. So that's just how much I love this movie. I think it's hilarious. I think people still to this day don't get that it's supposed to be a comedy and kind of spoofing like all the different type of silly roles that Schwarzenegger always gets and like action films, like tropes and such.
When I was a kid, I liked it a lot because it was a funny action movie. When I rewatched it as an adult, I saw how smart it was as a filmmaker. It does so many amazing things. It's so good. And all the references to other films, how they handle all the tropes, how they handle the plot, Schwarzenegger's entire character, the fact that the kid doesn't trust the villain because that actor played another character as a villain. and that was planned to be a franchise, and it failed because it came out the same time as Jurassic Park.
Yes. And I think also, as I mentioned, I think people just didn't get it.
Oh, no. Definitely people didn't get it.
Critics didn't get it. A lot of people just didn't get it. It's just one of those things, because even nowadays, people still hate it. Everyone hates it because the kid, Danny, they don't like him, and so they think he's annoying as shit and all this other stuff. I'm like, kind of, but he's a kid. I think he's played very realistically as a kid would be in that situation.
Yeah, he's not a super annoying kid. He's just a kid. Sometimes kids are annoying.
Yeah. Sometimes kids are little bastards.
My fiancée, Elaine, I noticed that Last Action Hero was on Netflix one day, and I said, we have to watch this. And she's just like, oh, I don't really like action movies. And I said, shut the fuck up. You're going to like this one. And we watched it, and she loved it as much as I did. Like, she couldn't believe that it was that smart, that funny, and that well done. And she couldn't believe that she had never heard of it. And I'm like, yeah, that's because no one got it.
Yeah, it's also probably one of Schwarzenegger's best acting roles.
I agree.
He's very good in it.
What was the fake trailer that the kid made in his brain? Was that
it was Hamlet.
Hamlet, yeah.
Something's rotten in the state of Denmark.
Why isn't that movie made yet?
I don't know. People need to get on it.
I need to call Arnold right now.
You killed my father. Big mistake. Stay thy hand, fair prince. Who said I was fair? I could just do the entire trailer in that kid's head because it's so fucking good.
So good.
But,
that movie's so good. If you haven't seen it, see it.
Yeah, please. I mean, now there's no better time. Now it's on Blu-ray. You can see it as it was meant to be. Go out there and see it. The only better way to see it is if a local theater, or rival theater near you is doing like a print of it or something. Mm-hmm. So, Steve, you're number 5.
My number 5, according to some people, might be more controversial than Man of Steel. I don't agree, but second Disney film on my list. My number 5, best movie, favorite movie of all time, Tron Legacy.
That is, I can see that as a bold move.
Because I did not see Tron when I was a child. I did not see Tron until the weekend before Tron Legacy came out. Because I had seen some trailers and it looked interesting. I didn't really know what Tron was about. So, not a schmuck, I bought and watched the original Tron, and it was okay. You know, I understood, I'm logical, objective enough to know that it was a different era. If I wasn't judging it based on effects. I wasn't judging it based on, character choices or stuff like that. Just, the story and the world that it built, it was okay. Not much happened. It was slow-moving. I'm sure it was amazing at the time, but since it was, the 21st century, the effects alone weren't enough to sell me on the film. To me, Tron Legacy does everything the first movie does, except way better. I think that the story is a lot more interesting. I think the characters are way more interesting. I really appreciate how they handled Alan, who I loved in the first film and was disappointed that he had such a small role in this one, and how they handled Kevin Flynn basically being God in this world.
Was Alan Boxleitner?
Yes.
Boxleitner?
Yes.
Okay, I was trying to remember. It's been a while since I've seen the film.
He will always play Alan, no matter how small the project is of Tron related. He's always Tron or Alan. He was Tron in Tron. He was Alan in Tron 2.0. He was Tron in the Kingdom Hearts games. He was Tron in the animated series. He will always be Tron, and I don't know if that's a testament to how much he likes the character or how little money he has. But I don't care.
Yeah,
this is perfect. I really like Legacy, and the world that they built was gorgeous. And the fact that how much of it was practical. Like, a lot of people write off Tron Legacy as being all CG. Like, all the suits were practical. Most of the sets were practical. And I think it's a testament to how good the sets are that there's still people that think it's CG.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole character arc of Clue is one of my favorite villain character arcs of all time. Because there's so many really, 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 really good writing and directorial decisions made in that film that are so subtle that I think most people miss them. Just little things like Clue having the chance to kill Kevin, who he's been hunting for years, and instead throws the identity disc next to his head because that's his father. And they don't say that. They don't even take time to show it, but it's there. And there's a lot of those little tiny subtle things in that film. I didn't know that everyone hated that movie until one time I posted on the internet, big mistake. I really like Tron Legacy, and everyone tore me apart.
Yeah, admittedly, I've only seen it once when I saw it in the theaters. I liked it. I thought it was fun. I feel like I need to rewatch it, admittedly, because I feel like in retrospect, I like the soundtrack to it more than I like the actual film.
Oh, and the soundtrack, yeah, the soundtrack's amazing. Robbed at the Oscars that year.
Yeah, and that's probably because I can listen to the soundtrack anytime I want. I need to check out the movie again, because I like Tron a lot. But yeah, Tron Legacy was a one and done for me. Not that I had nothing against the film.
No, yeah, you liked it, you just didn't love it enough to...
Yeah, exactly. One of these days I'll pick it up, I'll watch it again. It's just a matter of... I like the turn for... was it Rensler?
Yes.
I liked all that leading up. Sometimes it felt kind of ham-fisty. It's like...
at times
I feel like they're keeping it mysterious if he was Tron or not, but then it was like... It's pretty clear that this is Tron.
As soon as he shows up and there's a T on his chest...
Yeah.
I mean, I saw the original once the week before, and even I was just like, oh, so that's Tron.
Yeah.
And then they show him in the flashbacks wearing the same suit as Rensler. I'm like, okay, so that's Rensler. Are you still acting like this is a twist?
That's probably my only
But regardless, as soon as he says, I fight for the users, I jump out of my seat every single time.
Yeah, I love that part in the theaters. I was just kind of sad he didn't do more after that. I was like, no.
I agree.
Then there's the idea that they set up for a sequel and never got that, but...
They're still working on it, apparently. And that's fine. Again, I'd rather it come in 8 years than a year later.
They'll wait 30 years like they wait for after the first one.
All right, so you're number 4.
Number 4, as an Illinoisan, some people might say this is a given, but honestly, I love this movie. It is probably my favorite of the two lead actors, and that is Blues Brothers. It's probably my favorite Belushi and favorite Aykroyd movie.
I like that movie, but don't love it. So what makes it so high on your list?
I could say a bunch of things. I normally don't let nostalgia and stuff cloud my judgment on things. I can usually stay pretty even keel and keep open mind about it. Mm-hmm. But man, every time I watch Blues Brothers, I love the music. I love the comedy. I love. I guess I could you also say the stunt driving, everything stunt wise with cars and everything else, like the amount of practical, like how much just cars they destroy in that movie.
There's a lot of cars,
something to truly love. And I feel maybe it is something like for people that live in Illinois that the movie is focused in Illinois, Chicago, and all this other stuff. That just like everything about it just speaks to people in Illinois. I don't know, the Illinois Nazis line is still one of the best. Blues Brothers does maintain probably the best joke ever written in film.
Which is?
What kind of music do you guys get here? Oh, both kinds. Country and Western. That's probably my favorite all-time joke in a film.
That's a good joke.
So, just between, I love Aykroyd, love Belushi in it, it's great. My probably only complaint about the film is that the DVD release currently has the deleted scenes put back in it to the actual film. And I don't feel like they add a lot to the film, so I wish I had an option to take them out.
Whenever, I find myself whenever most of the time Blu-rays and DVDs have, the theatrical cut or the extended cut, whether it's a director's cut or whatever, 90% of the time I still prefer the theatrical cut, because there's usually a reason why those things were cut.
It depends.
It depends, absolutely. Like I said, just
Terminator
most of the
2,
time. But
I can't watch the not extended cut.
I
Terminator
agree.
2, you have to have the extra footage.
I agree.
Blues Brothers, it's just like little bits, like part with the Elwood, like quitting his job at the glue factory. It's like this kind of weird little, like they're not a lot. It's just enough if you're like me and you've seen the movie hundreds of times beforehand. It really throws you off, and you're like, oh yeah, this is in here. The movie has tons of great actors in it. John Candy, Linda Hamilton.
It's a great ensemble.
Yeah, I mean it's great. I don't know. So I love the film. I'm sure a lot of people might agree with me. I can see if it's not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah.
That's my number 4.
My number 4, and this has stuck with me for my entire life. I love it. I'm always disappointed that I feel it does not get enough credit anymore these days, anywhere. I feel like it's almost forgotten about. Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Oh, fuck yeah, Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
I love that film. Hoskins is amazing in it. I just like Roger as a character. Jessica Rabbit is the reason why I love redheads so much. It's so good. It's just so good. If you haven't seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit, please go see it. It's a great Disney film that's kind of pretending to not be a Disney film. And it's one of the few times you'll get to see, Mickey Mouse hanging out with Bugs Bunny, which honestly, even to this day, is still cool.
Absolutely. I guess you could say people still kind of remember it, because when Wreck-It Ralph came out, that's how everyone equated the movie. Oh, it's like Who Framed Roger Rabbit with video game characters. And then you see the movie, and it's absolutely nothing
like that at all.
So, I mean, I'm with you 100%.
And Christopher Lloyd, of course, is amazing as Judge Doom. And one of my favorite factoids with the film is that Tim Curry auditioned for the role of Judge Doom and didn't get it because he was too terrifying. As honestly terrifying as Lloyd is as Doom in that movie, like during the ending, I can't imagine how Tim Curry played it.
Well, hell, if you want to get an idea how terrifying Tim Curry can be, just watch Legend.
Oh, I love Legend.
Even underneath all the prosthetics and makeup, he is just like devouring, like owning that entire every scene, every single cell of frames of celluloid
he's pure
film.
Evil. If you want to see how not scary Tim Curry is, see it, because he's hilarious, and I don't know why everyone's terrified of that film.
I'm right there with you too. It is hilarious to watch. I don't understand
the whole library scene.
Yeah. When he set on the belt, the banister, the railing up top,
with the noisemaker.
I don't know how people can be scared by that. I think it's hilarious. All
right, we're in the top 3 now.
Yeah, we're in the top 3, the big times. My top 3 is rather silly because 2 films, it might as well be one film. Number 3 for me is Tim Burton's first directorial film. That is Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
A perfect choice.
Oh, you're getting really quiet on me, Steve.
A perfect choice.
Okay, there you go. I get that. It is. I don't like it because Tim Burton's first directorial film. I like it because it's just a brilliant fucking film. I think the screenplay was between Paul Rubens and Phil Hartman and some other and such, and so it's just brilliant film. Yeah. I went down one of those cases where it's like, what can I really say about it?
Especially that movie. It does so much right. It's a great, simple adventure film while still being so much more. Yeah, and I like it as a Burton film because it shows Tim Burton that he doesn't always have to be Tim Burton.
Yeah, I think that's the funniest thing. My favorite Tim Burton film is his first film before he could really fall into a trap of his own style of stuff that just doesn't do it for me. I
think Burton is a really good director, but I don't like his style. And I think Pee-wee's Big Adventure is a prime example of that. The directorial decisions made in that film are great.
Yes.
And I feel that if he took that, and he does, honestly, a lot of those same sorts of decisions in all of his other films, it's just hampered down by how Burton-esque they are.
Yeah. I agree there. Paul Rubens is brilliant in it. Tons of fantastic cameos, great jokes, great visual humor, visual jokes. I don't know where else I could go saying praise about it. I just think the movie's great. I loved it in my entire life. I never get tired of watching it. One of my favorite memories of it is the VHS for it had one of the animated like commercials for like a Warner Brothers like catalog between Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck.
Yes.
That's a good memory of that. But yeah, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, great film. Steve, your number 3.
My number 3 is the reason why I decided to be a filmmaker. And that movie is Army of Darkness.
Number 3. Ooh.
Now, a lot of people shit on Army of Darkness. A lot of people act like the original's the best, even though it's honestly kind of a generic horror film that does some really cool, weird shit, but otherwise plays it so straight that I can't take it seriously when it's meant to be taken seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people say the second one's the best, which I accept more because it's just a better balance of both Raimi's, what Raimi is known for as a director, of how unique Evil Dead 2 was, how it was getting a little bit more slapsticky. But Army of Darkness is just Sam Raimi making the Evil Dead movie that he wanted to make with the budget that he always wanted. It plays on the comedy way heavier, which I think is way better. And Bruce Campbell is absolutely the leading man in that film. He nails it. You know, he's just some schmuck from Michigan is now the leading man in what at the time was honestly a major studio release. And no one cared about it when it came out. No one cared about it because no one knew what Evil Dead 2 was at the time.
Yep.
And only in more recent years has it really blown up and gotten a lot of the praise that it deserves. And again, I feel that it doesn't get enough praise compared to the other two movies. I love Army of Darkness. I can watch it anytime. I've seen that more than any of the other Evil Dead movies. It's just so fun. And it's basically Lord of the Rings except better. So, if you like Lord of the Rings, but you want something even better than that, there you go.
Yeah, bam. You got it right there. I don't see that many. It's funny because I don't see that many people shit on it. I guess.
I just mean like by comparison of how the first two get praised and Army just gets kind of forgotten about.
Yeah, which is funny because for a lot of people, that's their that's what introduced them to the movies. Because I know Sci-Fi used to show that movie all the time.
That's where I first saw it. Yeah.
For me, I like it quite a bit. It's great, hilarious movie. It's brilliant. I love it. It's one of those things where it's like, oh man, I'm sad I don't get to see Bruce Campbell in the movie theaters and on the big screen that much anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he just gets 2-second roles in like The Great and Powerful Oz.
Oh, you mean Army of Darkness?
It's Army of Darkness starring James Franco instead, who, to be fair, did do a good job playing Bruce Campbell.
Yeah. For me personally, I like Evil Dead 2 more because, again, it's one of those things where how a movie was made factors into a lot, like how they shot all that movie, most of it into like in a school gymnasium and all this other stuff. It's one of those things where it's like knowing a lot more about the movie, how it was made, like factors. And plus, Evil Dead 2 is brilliant. I don't know. I like them equally. I don't think I could say like which one.
I would definitely place Evil Dead 2 a very close second. Very close.
Yeah, that's about the same. Yeah. Like, it depends on the day. Like, one day I might say Evil Dead 2, another day I might say Army of Darkness. Just depends on my mood, because Army of Darkness is definitely a funnier movie. Yeah. So, actually, why don't you do your number 2? Because my number 1 and number 2 are very similar.
Okay. My number 2, and this is, again, I feel it's the best in the franchise. I will fight you if you disagree. Not really. It's fine. Everyone's allowed to like what they like. The movie opinions don't matter. Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. I adore Nightmare 4. I think it is the strongest plot. I think it has the strongest lead actress in any horror film. It's one of the few times you actually get to see a full-blown character arc with a horror character of someone going from quiet and shy to strong and confident and self-independent.
Absolutely.
The makeup on Freddy is the best. I love the dream sequences in that film the best. It has some of the best lines, the best looking glove. It's also the one that best introduces the reason of why Freddy is what he is, being the guardian of the negative gate, whereas Alice is the guardian of the positive gate. something that's never again looked at in the franchise, which I think is a huge mistake, and also the absolute best possible way to defeat Freddy, to the point where I think that's a better ending to the character than what they tried to do with Freddy's Dead.
Yeah, Freddy's Dead is awful, so I'm going to agree with you there.
Because the whole point of Freddy is that he gets power from you. So Alice literally just took more control of the dream than Freddy, and basically became Freddy's Freddy, and just locked him away inside of her, ripping all of his souls out forcefully, and he had no power, because she was in charge. And I think that's amazing. That's the only way to beat Freddy legitimately. Yeah.
For the longest time, well, I think Dream Warriors is still my favorite, but after rewatching the series, I definitely put Dream Master up there. Like, again, it's similar, like, depends on the day. I could choose which one I think is better.
And again, I placed 3 at a very close second. So,
yeah, it's a similar situation. No, sorry, I was saying, it depends on the day. One day I might say one day I might say the other. For all the same reasons you just said. Yeah, you hit it on the nail on the head. I love all the characters. It's similar, like, to Friday the 13th Part 3, where I feel for all the characters. I'm interested in what they're going through and all about them. So I legitimately, like, it's something that horror films kind of lose nowadays, is actually caring about the characters.
Yeah, these days everyone just makes everyone assholes, and it's just like, oh, that's not interesting.
Exactly.
And also a lot of people claim that Nightmare 4 is where everything started to go downhill for Freddy, and I strongly disagree. No, I think the Freddy in Part 3 and Part 4 are the exact same. He didn't start to get silly until 5. And even then, only 6 made him a cartoon character.
Because those are the only films that are really, well, obviously besides Dream Child, that's where the films actually, like, have a true, like, direct continuity. It's similar to, like, the first 4 Friday the 13th films, where they all lead into each other.
Yeah, and the movie, and 4 looks great. Remy Harlan did a fantastic job directing it. Whoever the cinematographer was, the lighting on that movie looks amazing, and that's why I hate the Blu-ray of it, because the Blu-ray makes everything darker and blacker, and you lose so many of the bright colors. That's the only reason why I still have my DVD of Part 4, because the Blu-rays of all the other movies look fantastic. But the Blu-ray of Part 4, you lose everything that visually made it so cool.
Wow.
Alright, so you're number 2?
My number 2 is going to morph. This is mostly my number 1, number 2s, because this is where my list always becomes kind of a cop out at the end, because my number 1, 2 is similar to the films. RoboCop 1 and 2 are my number 2, number 1. That's just things. I think the reasons are obvious. I can't ever pick which one's my favorite, because I think both do amazing things, but do amazing different things. I know it's a cop-out to some people, but I guess I'll start with RoboCop 2. RoboCop 2 is fucking amazing, and I feel like people don't give it nearly enough credit for how good it is.
At all.
It's so subtle in some of its performance. Peter Weller just blows it away, like how subtle his performance is in some areas, especially the scene in the police station where he's having to tell his wife that he's Alex Murphy's dead, and he's like, you can see the intensity, like he knows that he can't continue this because it's making her life miserable, so he has to tell her that he doesn't exist, he's dead. It makes him horrible, but it helps her move on with her life. And I think that it's amazing. And the whole storyline between Murphy and Kane, and I mean, again, there's another film that Tom Noonan is in. Kane is fucking amazing in this film.
So good. Jesus!
Villain.
Had days like this.
And then Frank Miller blows up in it, so that's amazing. That's another plus for the film.
Yeah, that's 3 stars right there out of 5. So
yeah, I don't know where else to go.
I feel that a lot of people that disregard RoboCop 2, they just look at it as a 2 monsters fighting movie with RoboCop versus RoboCop 2, and they miss all the other stuff that's really important of what's going on. Like you said, Murphy telling his wife that he's dead. Murphy sitting with a piece of shit scumbag who just so happens to be a kid because it's a scared kid that's dying. The mayor is amazing.
Yeah, Mayor Quincy.
So good.
So good.
Kane's entire personality, the war on drugs, how ridiculous it is, the police strike that they were hinting towards in the first film. The only thing I don't like about RoboCop 2 is that, what's this OCP CEO's name again?
He doesn't really have his name. It's just the old man.
Yeah, in the first movie, the old man, like, you could tell that he did care about profits, but he also came off as also genuinely caring about how people ended up. Whereas Dick Jones was the super evil corporate stereotype guy. You know, it wasn't the old man, it was Dick Jones that was that character. And since Dick Jones was gone, they just kind of turned the old man into kind of also Dick Jones. Although RoboCop 2 does have the old man say my favorite line, which is also Plinkett's favorite line, of "This might look bad for us, Johnson. Get our best spin people on it." This might look bad for us, Johnson, is what sells that line.
Was that no? Then like seconds later, he's like walking over a dead body so nonchalantly, and I can see that complaint. Although I kind of see it in the first film, I feel like there's some compassion for people, but even then, he's mad because like when the I take the scene where this will go into RoboCop when we talk about it, obviously, but some of this is here. Like when Ed 209 kills Mr. Kenny, you can see you can kind of see like he might be upset because he killed a man, but you can also see he might be upset because this might cost them money, which he even says like 3 seconds later about how it might set back Delta City plans and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Our New Detroit. I don't think they really said Delta City yet in the first film. I think they kind of.
I think they did. They did. Yeah.
As much as I see anything, I remember. But
oh yeah, because there's that huge billboard in the first film.
Yeah. Detroit has a new future and all this stuff. What else about RoboCop 2? I love the comedy in it is really good too. Haste makes waste. Time is fleeting. 1 stone is worth 2 in the bush.
He's fucked up.
Yeah, and the kids and Murphy's bringing Miranda to a corpse. That's great.
Great film.
Yeah, there's a whole great story there. And then RoboCop 1. First RoboCop. What can really be said that hasn't been said already? The film's perfect. It's brilliant. Probably definitely my favorite Verhoeven film. Peter Weller destroys it. Great sat. You said earlier, like satire of the '80s, corporate greed, cynicism, the Jesus kind of story that Murphy goes through. Kurtwood Smith as Clarence Boddicker is fucking amazing.
Absolutely. To
this day is probably my favorite movie villain.
I cannot tell you how many times I've said the phrase "bitches leave."
No shit, right? I all the time I just I'll go for like really obscure ones like you probably don't like me. And for some reason I was bust into like and I don't like cops.
And I don't like cops. Tigers are playing tonight.
Never miss a game. I got enough of this. I got enough firepower to shove this whole factory up your wop ass. I'm so far up your wop ass, you'll be shitting snow till Christmas.
It's
or
great.
I'll just pop into the Cobra assault cannon, military grade, bang bang. Whatever. I'll just leave it at that. RoboCop 1 and 2, my all-time favorite films.
And it's good choices. Steve, obviously RoboCop 1's on my top 10, and although RoboCop 2's not in my top 10, it probably at least in my top 30. I love RoboCop 2. And there, honestly, like you said, there are times where I prefer RoboCop 2 over RoboCop 1. Depends on the day.
I showed it to my friend who'd never seen either of them. We watched RoboCop 1, then watched RoboCop 2, and even blind going into it, he loved RoboCop 2.
Good.
People
should.
So Steve, your number one favorite film of all time?
My number one film it's funny and weird because it's not completely unlike all the other previous films because, there's 3 Disney films in my top 10. I'm a big Disney fan, as people will find out the longer they listen to this podcast.
Yes.
But it's definitely unique. It's unlike the other ones. But to me, it's something that has aged amazingly well. It's funny every time that I watch it, no matter how many times I see it, and as a fan of the genre that it's in, it's perfect at what it's trying to be with the themes and the tones and the message. My number one movie, if I'm forced to choose, ignoring genres, Christmas Vacation. I love that movie.
Respectable fic.
It's a well-told story. It's about family. To me, that's the perfect Christmas film. It's what Christmas is really about. It's not just the bullshit, everyone's good to each other all the time message that a lot of other Christmas films have. It's about getting through the hardships of family while still being a family. Also while being one of the funniest movies that I've ever seen.
Yeah, I'll watch it. I watch it around every Christmas year, obviously, because it's a very good film to watch around the holidays and not burn yourself out on it during the year. I always, man, there's tons of bits I always forget about that I want to see again, and it's like, it blows my mind. I love it.
There's a lot of really good small jokes. There's a lot of really like I said, I really like the story, the message, the themes. It's the perfect Christmas movie, and honestly, as a standalone movie, it's my favorite movie because it does what it wants to do so perfectly. Yeah. You know, like, I may prefer tossing in Man of Steel this day because I want to see the action superhero movie, or Nightmare 4 because I want to watch the horror, or RoboCop for the satire. But to me, Christmas Vacation hits flawlessly everything that it wants to hit. And also, I see a lot of myself in Clark Griswold in that film, which I appreciate.
Yeah. Just want to have a good Christmas for everybody. Get the bonus to make the family pool. You know?
And of course, Brian Doyle Murray can be in any movie, and I'm always excited.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And probably, I'd be hard-pressed to say there's a better film Randy Quaid is in.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head. I think that's probably his peak.
I'd say that's his peak, followed by Independence Day.
No, that's true. As much as I don't care for Independence Day, he's probably my favorite part of
it. No,
yeah.
I mean, ignoring the rest of Independence Day, although, like, I like parts of it, but Randy Quaid in that movie.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. Yeah, that's a very respectable favorite film of all time. I don't think many people would put that on their list. They'd probably put that favorite, like, holiday film.
Mm-hmm. No, whenever I tell people that's my favorite movie, everyone's like, really? And then when I explain it, a lot of people are like, yeah, you know what, you're right, it is good. It is, like, a good movie that is good, ignoring the fact that it's a Christmas film.
Better than that piece of shit fucking Christmas Story. Can't say
I hate the Christmas Story.
Yeah. We should make a list of, like, our least favorite.
favorite. Our next top 10 is most top 10 hated films. And then in December, we'll have a top 10 Christmas film and a least most hated top 10 Christmas films.
Oh, that sounds like awful plans. I'm awful when it comes to worst films, like films you hate the most. Because I'm like, no. I got really pissed at Prometheus once, I guess.
Yeah, once.
I saw it once.
I thought it was okay. It was disappointing. 0 out of 10.
Well, anyways. Yeah, I think I really enjoyed going down this list with you. I hope our whoever's listening are on this inaugural episode of Movie Films with Bill and Steve enjoyed hearing our conversations about films.
And this episode did go a little long for folks listening at home. Most of our episodes will be more like an hour. We just went an hour and a half because this was the introductory episode.
Yes, I was about to get to that. It's a little longer than we prefer it to be, but when you get to talk your favorite films, especially 10 favorite films, you can go off a little long-winded. And plus, that way you're not trying not to shortchange your films. So we're going to wrap it up here.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up.
You can find me at Lovable Bill on Twitter, and you can find us on the soon-to-be... Well, if you're listening to this, you'll be finding it on the moviefilmswithbillandsteve.tumblr.com. You can email us at moviefilmswithbillandsteve@gmail.com. And Steve, do you have any other plugs you want to do?
We'll probably get an actual URL and maybe website coming up, but I don't know when we'll get that up. Probably not by the first episode. And again, if you want to check out any of my films, www.silverspotlightfilms.com. If you like my movie list, you might like my movies. If you hate my movie list, then you can go look at my movies and tell me how much of a hack I am.
You're a very big hack. How dare you make independent films?
I shouldn't make independent films at all. Why even bother? Unless I have $1 million, why even bother making a movie?
Absolutely. Well, folks, I want to thank you for joining us on this lovely sleigh ride into Wonderland for the last hour and a half. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please give us feedback if you enjoyed it. If there's any particular topics or anything you want us to go into. The general theme we'll probably do from now on is usually just kind of talking about particular movies we watched that week. So if you have any interests or feedback or anything you want to let us know, feel free to email us. We'd really appreciate it.
I completely agree. That would be wonderful.
Okay. Well, I've been Bill.
This has been Steve.
So thank you guys, and good fight, good night.